everyone to the Analyst Desk, where we'll be covering picks and bans for Game 4. I can't wait to see what the Taxman has in store for the pick and ban discussion. We'll see. Rogue, though, as we heard from Lore, they are just one win away from another top 3 finish in the LEC and a spot at Worlds 2021. I feel like we have repeated it a lot, but you can't repeat it enough. The fact that if Rogue wins this next game, they are in Worlds. If Misfits win the next 2, they are in Worlds.
Absolutely. And I think for Rogue, it's just massive because, again, you heard Lore talk about it earlier, but they kind of had a disappointing Worlds run. They were in a very difficult group. Not a lot of people expected a lot for them, but this is a much stronger Rogue than the Rogue we saw last year at Worlds. And as you highlighted earlier in the day, Zanzara, big expectations for this team on the international stage.
Yeah, I think Rogue right now playing really good. And we saw this like 2 wins, I think. It was pretty clean. They were winning from early game till the end of the game. And yeah, they messed up in one game. They give it too much to Misfits, I would say, but right now they look super strong.
Yeah, they won 2 games and put them on match point. Let's take a look at the top lane matchup, specifically HiRit versus Odoamne. It has been quite a treat so far, but what were your thoughts on the last one specifically, as we do get some of the Tom Kench B-roll again, which is going to be traumatic for HiRit?
Top Kench is great, but the last matchup, I think it's actually kind of skill matchup. Camille, Fiora, there is like a lot of players, it's just like kind of jungle dependent, but we saw insane attention from Inspired to top lane, even though like it was 1-for-1 for skill. Fiora lose some creeps, and then it was insane amount of roams from Larssen. So overall, I think it was decided kind of by jungle mid. Like Rogue jungle mid just was stronger, and they were just on top lane every time they can.
And I think it's important to also call out across this series, we have seen Inspired gank top lane every single game to pretty good effect. The only game he didn't get a kill was game 2 when HiRit was on the Camille, barely making it out in that exchange. So a lot of resources put in the top side. And in that case, you're right, playing a little bit through mid lane, coming top side. And sadly for HiRit and Razork, a little too keen to fight. They took a lot of 2v3s that game. They're, League of Legends players, not Olympic sprinters. So I think they got to slow down.
I saw that comment everywhere. I can't believe you also said it.
Yeah,
sorry, I called you out. Yeah, but in any case, I mean, it just sucks because it's clearly that feeling from, I think, from Razork, because he is so instrumental to this game and they know that the top side is also so influential. He wants to influence the game as much as he can. But it seems to me that it's only being played on the top side so far, Zanza, because, you know, so do we expect that in this possible final game it's going to be similar emphasis in the picks and bans?
Yes, but I think the most important is mid lane. We should take better mid lane. Then if mid lane is better, then jungle can play the game. The last game we saw, like mid lane matchup was losing, so Razork had all the option to cross map, and he didn't really had like opportunity to do it properly. So yeah, like Odoamne just get ahead. Here it is again, like 1-4, so game is lost.
Yep.
Yeah, and again, I think ultimately it's just the LeBlanc is too powerful. Vetheo is very good at the Zoe, but you can't just reliably leave lane and lands bubbles. LeBlanc can just literally do anything she wants. She dashes around, she lands a chain. The setup is so easy when you have a Viego and a Camille on the team as well. And it's very clear that after that game 2, Rogue adapted. They said, we will match your top lane priority with top lane priority of our own. The fact that Odoamne has successfully first pick blind picked a Camille is not good for Misfits Gaming that he got away with that. Obviously, the Fiora looked all right, but as it starts to fall behind, very hard for it to come back. So I think Misfits certainly back against the wall. I think top side has to remain the focus for both sides, and I think Zanzara's right to call it mid lane, and I think LeBlanc specifically in this case.
Yeah, when we in Ready Check talked about this game, you talked about the deficit possibly in the bot lane for Misfits. I think unfortunately it seems that it can appear everywhere on the map, and I think we need to credit Rogue for that, because yes, we tunnel a lot on the Tom Kench in the first game, we tunnel a lot on the Camille here, but as you say, it's also because of Larssen making sure that he roams at the right time. It's also making sure that Inspired is at the right place at the right time, even though Razork can also hang around that top lane. So it's really the team that's working very well from the side of Rogue.
Yeah, I think overall Rogue didn't try to play for bot lane a lot this game. They just let bot lane play 2v2, and they know their bot lane is better, so they just match Misfits aggression on top side, and 2 out of 3 games they were successful in it, and they always get in lead and just don't let HiRit play the game at all.
For this game, which could possibly be the last one for Misfits, they elected to stay on red side again. What does that spell out to you, Dracos?
I mean, I think we're probably going to see something very similar. The big question to me is, do we see a shift away from the LeBlanc ban, or do we even see a shift into first picking the LeBlanc from the side of Rogue if it is allowed through, if it is something that is so oppressive and hard to deal with? Now, I don't think it's quite as ideal as a first pick. I think there are champions that Vetheo can pick up that will have a decent time. You saw Rogue use 2 of their bans in the second phase, or at least one of their bans in the second phase, rather, to limit some of the picks that could be brought out against Larssen on this LeBlanc. But I think, as much as the top lane is interesting, I think Zanzar is right. I think we're looking at the LeBlanc. That is the pick that we're laser focused on.
But are we though? I heard something this afternoon in Ready Check, Zanzara's corner. There was a certain champion in the jungle or in everyone. Oh my god, your chair broke.
But the most important is what Trundle is pretty good with LeBlanc too. So maybe it's good to pick LeBlanc and they just pick Trundle.
Zanzara, you're an absolute professional. The smoothest recovery of all time. Luckily it didn't blow out. That would have been a disaster.
Oh my
We're
God.
fine. We're not on camera, but everything is okay.
It is Friday the 13th.
Technical, me versus technology is the battle of the day.
What? That's a chair. It's mechanical. It's
Well,
not technology.
you know what?
I'm sorry. I'm going to bring us back. I'm going to bring us back because this may be the game that qualifies Rogue for the World Championship, and we're going into those picks and bans. Will we see a Trundle, yes or no?
So far not. I think if Xena's Viego is open, it's gonna be again like trade.
Yeah.
I think both junglers is happy to play this matchup, so it's more about like mid lane picks.
I think mid lane picks are certainly a good call out. Twisted Fate, standard ban so far. We've seen Lee Sin and Thresh also be reasonably high priority. Syndra, another ban that Rogue has consistently gone for. The Varus, relatively new ban in the context of the series, so again, limiting these bot lane options. But it's a big question to me. Thresh being available changes the bot lane dynamic a lot. It enables a lot more of the hyper carries. But that said, I can't imagine a bot lane shift from either side is really going to be the focus. And the question for me here, I don't expect Rogue to ban away the LeBlanc. Maybe they ban away one side of the jungle matchup, try to get something for themselves. But more likely, handshake on the Viego and the Zhao into potentially the LeBlanc pick.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's like kind of the same draft. Oh, Rogue goes for Camille again. I mean, I think Misfits will not do the same mistake. They will not skip mid lane to second rotation, and this was the main. Oh, and we see. Yeah.
LeBlanc difference.
Nice
Golf clap for the LeBlanc. LeBlanc plus the Zhao, incredibly strong mid-jungle duo. Really hard for Rogue to match this now. And again, looking back to game 2, this was the game where Misfits really were able to get the ball rolling, due in part to the incredibly powerful matchup that they had. If Larssen goes for the Orianna again, Rogue could very quickly find themselves in a similar situation.
And right now, like, Fiora is a pretty good pick. Just pick Fiora right now. You have LeBlanc gonna roam, just secure you free early game, and then you just eventually outscale Camille. This is a good game plan for Misfits, I feel like.
Yeah. And you can see Rogue now pivoting to get themselves a strong bottom lane, realizing that there probably aren't really that many picks that are going to be excellent into LeBlanc, willing to let 1 or 2 of them get banned away in the next phase, instead prioritize getting their bot lane a pushing matchup. So a small shift here. We didn't expect bot lane to be the focus, but Rogue getting this Ashe early means that we maybe see more attention down there. Ashe setup obviously very easy, very reliable. And I really like this. Both teams are just firing back with responses of their own. I wouldn't mind seeing the Ezreal there, but just grabbing the Jayce, Misfits not wavering from their game plan to focus everything on top side here in the first phase.
Yeah, it looks like overall Rogue understand what Misfits want to play for top side, and they can't really match it. So they just take Ashe. They just want to snowball bot, and probably with this game we're gonna see Rogue gonna play for full for bot, Misfits for top, and we'll see who's gonna be stronger.
That's an adaptation in the approach. Finally, we're going to see more bot focus.
I mean, I think forced out by the fact that Misfits, Rogue wanted to keep blind picking this Camille. I guess they just feel like it's one of HiRit's best champions. HiRit certainly has been successful on it. Not sure if they're going to feel like it's worthwhile. It's actually, it feels like such a bad deal. I'm sorry. I know Camille is good, and I know it's going to set up Odo for success, but playing into Zhao LeBlanc just feels like such a nightmare early game. Maybe Rogue has something special up their sleeve to balance this out a little bit, to make this less oppressive, or maybe Hansama and Trymbi just pop off and I'll feel like a fool after it, but it's really hard giving away Zhao LeBlanc. It's just such a raffle stomp mid-jungle combo.
It's just pain. No, you don't want to play versus LeBlanc and Zhao. As a jungler, as anyone on the team, honestly. And you are playing versus Jayce too, as a Camille. Like, Jayce actually can bully you and half wing, and you're gonna be doved in every wave.
I mean, we said the same thing about the Gnar-Tom Kench matchup. You know, Gnar's going to chill and it's going to be fine. So maybe Odoamne pulls, you know, another trick out of the hat here. Enter the second ban phase. We've seen a Brahmin Arise banned away alongside the Ezreal as well as the Rakan. So wanting to take away Ezreal as the safe AD carry that will allow Kobbe to just generally be impossible to dive without a greater commitment. He goes to the Jhin. I personally like this. Matching a utility bot lane with a utility bot lane. Jhin kind of relieves the pressure of Kobbe as being a big primary carry. You've got Jayce who can add more sustained AD damage. And Now Kobbe can just be Mr. Utility, similar to Hansama on the opposite side with Ashe. Oh, but he's against a Lulu, and that's going to be hard.
Yeah, actually, I'm surprised by Lulu pick. I thought they're gonna go for something aggressive, like Leona, no tears, but I guess they're more than happy to play with Lulu and just play for level 6. And yeah. Or maybe it's Ashe mid? Maybe it's Ashe mid?
Calm down.
It's
Lulu mid.
Okay. Okay, Rock draft won. They won draft. Go next. Oh, there is no next.
You have to elaborate. Why did they win draft? Talk to me about Lulu mid.
Before, I remember like 2 or 3 years ago, Lulu was a really good pick into LeBlanc, and I think people like kind of don't really play it that much. But I think especially this game, but it's not jungle. But it's it's fine. Yeah, but I think Lulu is more OP. I think at this scenario, Lulu have Viego, Camille. I think Lulu is more OP at this.
All right, so quick recap. You have the Trundle on the bottom side, Pillar, excellent interaction into a normal AD carry like Ashe. Yes, probably won't get to W max in bot lane, but still really powerful. And the Lulu, utility support, allows Odoamne, Inspired, Hansama, any one of them to play a bit more aggressive in the fights. And shuts down a lot of what Vetheo's trying to do. You polymorph her, she comes in, she can't go back out. You have strong base damage early, similar to Orianna. You have extra auto attack damage on your passive, so Rogue a lot of tools to fight. That said, if they mess up and Vetheo gets fed, this game is impossible for Rogue to play.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's important for Misfits to get the lead before level 6 mid-jungle. Otherwise, Rogue just stronger. After level 6 Lulu, it's not possible to kill her. And then LeBlanc just gonna get pushed in and just stay under the tower. And then LeBlanc is completely useless.
Yeah, the plan is clear. I have to say, I thoroughly enjoyed this pick event. This was super entertaining and also super insightful. So what's your gut telling you, Dracos? Are we going to a Silver Scrapes Game 5?
I really trust in Rogue's ability to control an early game from Misfits, as well as Razork has been playing to find leads in a lot of these games. I believe in Rogue. I think we're going 3-1. I think Zanzara hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, it's 3-1. It's I mean, Lulu have no counter pick.
All right, let's head into the Rift for Game 4.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else. I sincerely hope we go to Game 5 because I want to hear Zanzara, Dracos, and Shox do another pick and ban. That was fantastic. Now, just before we continue to focus a little bit more, HiRit will be under some pressure. His flash is already blown. Welcome back to the cast today, because Trouble and I could bring you the last game of the day. Trouble, we were talking during the draft.
Disaster.
Earlier that series, you wanted to see Jayce into Camille was an option, and they went for all the last game. You talked a little bit about some of those utility mids that could come in. It's the Lulu instead of Karma, but it fits the expectations you've had for the draft. And as the analyst was talking about, pressure on Misfits to get ahead early.
I think the big debate right there with the Lulu is that they thought that Rogue was going to put this on Trymbi because Trymbi played it in game number 2. In game number 3, sorry, the previous one. So they're like, cool, we'll play long range with the Jhin. They'll never catch you. But now Jhin is forced to run Cleanse because he's playing against Ashe Arrow and a Leona. So you can never be too comfortable in that bot lane if you are that Jhin. Now, that being said, a big focal point for this particular series is where LeBlanc lands and the impact she has had throughout the entire series. We've seen that more proactive mid laners that can trade better have been the winners so far, and this time it's again in the hands of Vetheo. Zhao, LeBlanc, very strong skirmishers.
And that was exactly what Zanzara was talking about as well, how Vetheo's LeBlanc, I think Draco said the phrase, what if Vetheo gets farmed or gets ahead, there's going to be a very difficult time for Rogue.
Yeah.
But I think when we look at this composition for Misfits, excuse my ignorance here, but is it fair to say it's quite a challenging comp to pull off on the Misfits side, and we haven't seen them that coordinated?
Again, you have the poke coming in from the Jhin, from the Jayce, so you have to play in a particular way, unless HiRit wants to stick to a side lane. So you need this Jayce to get ahead. So when the Shock Blast lands, Vetheo, Razork can finish the job. But also, as Zanzara mentioned, you get heavily punished in the earlier levels from the Lulu. You get shoved underneath your tower, and good luck playing the skirmishes, and good luck playing the game if you're the LeBlanc, because that really hurts your skirmishing power.
Yeah, screw picks right now if you're a Misfits fan, because every time Larssen cast help picks. Lulu gets pushed further backwards. There's a CS advantage already. 5 built up, only 3 in front of Vetheo. And while all that's going on, talked a lot about how Inspired could look to play around that bottom lane. You've got that Leona, you've got that Ashe. You've got the ability to jump forward onto Jhin, which is a low mobility bot laner. Inspired's making his way back.
They've
This is
stuck the wave. The other one literally just crashed as well. They have two waves to play with. Vander.
Stuck underneath the tower. The Pillar of Ice will buy some time. That's a Zenith Blade 4. The turret helping out a lot. First blood is already secured. Inspired was able to pick up the kill. Now he's stolen away the Trundle. Pillar of Ice comes out. Kobbe's the next target. Flawless dive thus far, but Trymbi will get taken down. It's Kobbe that picks up the kill. Vetheo spends the teleport as well. 2 for 1 on the dive.
Yeah, that was so well played from Rogue. That's something that we've been looking for Misfits, and they haven't been able to pull their trigger on. Now, instantly, the Rogue bot lane will stack the waves, crash it on wave number 3, pull Inspired down bot lane, and instantly punish again the Jhin. We mentioned how this Jhin will never be safe in a lane where Leona and Ashe are in, and especially now with those summoners available, good luck playing the game.
1,000 gold down.
That's why they put him in.
Again, 1-0-1, and this was the dive up until the teleport came in.
Perfect.
It was beautiful.
They waited the second that the wave number 3 crashes. I think it's wave number 4, one of the two. They just instantly dive right there. They have Inspired when the passive hits as well from the Viego. He also drops
Tower
aggro briefly right there. But Trymbi is going to have to be the recipient of the death, but then again, it's very successful. It's a 2 for 1, and LeBlanc doesn't get nothing from it.
Yeah, and I misread that. It was actually Trymbi that stepped forward. He got the Shield of Daybreak stun onto Kobbe.
Yeah.
Easily lined up that second kill. And yes, he did get sacrificed, but it was able to get 2. Now HiRit, flashless, remember, is going to put some damage down onto Odo. Is enough to trade back in a 1v2 once again. But Inspired's Viego, 100% kill participation. Now the Pillar of Ice is thrown out. Teleport's being channeled. I believe that's Larssen arriving to the fray.
And that's the difference between the two dives that we saw. One from Rogue, one from Misfits right now being attempted. Misfits had absolutely no wave, no minions to keep the aggro, nothing. And now Rogue can turn onto the aggressive.
Trymbi, he's going to Hex Flash over. Larsen's the target. Kill secured by Vetheo, but at Razork's life. Hans Summon's not going to be able to pick up the kill. As it goes the way to Trymbi. Pillar of Ice locks Trymbi inside. He manages to walk out. Finally, second kill picked up. This time it's for HiRit. That is what Misfits needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And HiRit has his lane frozen, if I'm not wrong, against him right now in the top lane, so he's not necessarily losing too much. Nothing's going to be shoved underneath his tower because Odoamne just TP top, so he couldn't join. That was really well played right there by Misfits, turning the aggression around. I think this game is picking up really quickly because these teams really want it. For Rogue, it's a ticket to Worlds. For Misfits, it's proving the haters wrong.
Yes, and forcing game 5, something that nobody expected, but also the composition from Misfits wants that advantage. This was obviously Misfits. I thought they were sticking around a little long, but there's so much damage coming down to Larssen from Razork and
It was also Trymbi hex flashing through and not being able to be instantly there to shut down any engage onto the Lulu. It took them way too long, and then Trymbi gets pillared, he can't get out, and then HiRit makes sure that he just secures the kill to get something for his troubles.
I think that's important to call out because, of course, HiRit on that Jayce, if he does get damage down, and look, he's already starting to bully Odo, he can unlock the Jhin pick, the Vetheo flanks, the Razork engages. And look at this, Vetheo, Razork.
Rogue has no vision of this.
3v2, no teleport for Larssen. The engage comes out, Hextech ultimatum, there's no support. HiRit's been left alone. He flashes away to safety, and here comes Vetheo, looking for the Mimic, dashes forward, that's another kill. Wimbledon's Lightning comes out, and is the chase continuing? Razork with an audacious charge. HiRit puts the hammer down, and it's 2 more kills to Misfits.
So beautifully executed by Misfits. That was absolutely no sin. I don't think Larssen was in lane early enough to push out the wave, so Vetheo is gonna lose nothing off that mid lane and get kills for his troubles, going all the way to top. Misfits are turning up the heat and slapping Rogue with it.
Trouble, this was how Misfits won game 2. It was skirmish heavy. It was brawl heavy. It was in the face.
It's the LeBlanc. It's having that mage in your hands, that assassin in your hands that can roam around the map and create picks, create opportunities, get kills for your team. When Razork is unlocked from his lanes, he can do everything you want. And right now, Vetheo has made sure that the Zhao is unlocked.
Wow, 0-1-4 on Razork's Zhao. Vetheo 2-0-2 already got 6 stacks on that lovely little ring. 3-1-1 on HiRit. I do think we have to highlight that down in the bottom lane, Kobbe is struggling. He's down 20 CS, but for Misfits, it is the top half of the map
We
that
expected
matter.
that, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the top half of the map that unlocks the victories for them. And I think if Kobbe can just maintain this like status quo, once you add on the curtain call and the deadly flourishes, he can still support Misfits because of all the damage and the long-range impact he can have.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that when they do dive him, what happens to his backline, right? Because they're going to have Inspire jump into the backline, or Odoamne jump into the backline for Kobbe, and then the LeBlanc will be able to jump on your backline. So I think it's a matter of who kills who faster in the backline and who engages faster.
The thing is, who kills who? The Solar Flare from Trymbi is going to have a big impact. The Subjugate from Vander will have a big impact. But also that wild growth, you know, there's one of the reasons I think the Lulu into LeBlanc is one of those picks that's been around for a very long time. The difference here is that Vetheo is ahead in kills, is ahead in gold. But while that has happened, this bottom lane continues to be bullied and punished. And now Rogue there may be ready for Vetheo.
Yeah, Veteo's making his way down bot, but Razork, as you can see on the other side of the map, he doesn't want to be a part of that. He just literally wants to take that Rift Herald, shove it down onto either HiRit or Vetheo, and give them a lot more gold. They're abandoning the bot lane, and that's for a good reason. It's because the LeBlanc and the Jayce need to snowball way ahead, and they're already on their way to do that.
Well, Misfits, 1,000 gold. Correction, 500 gold up. My math was way off. And this time, because of just how badly this bottom lane is going, Rogue are able to pick up the first dragon of the game the first time this series. But the inverse is true up top. Razork got Herald, has already dropped that very early on, Trouble. And that's going to be helping out HiRit with that charge. I think that'll secure the tower as well. And it does. So HiRit gets accelerated even further.
All eyes on bot side as well, because Inspired really wants to make that dive work by Vetheo. All eyes on Vetheo teleport right there, because it's coming up in literally 1 second. So he will be able to assist. Really good timing right there from Rogue to back off. They probably have time. The LeBlanc teleport, and if Vetheo dives in right now, this could spell trouble for them. But they have deprived Kobbe off of a lot of experience and gold. He's 1 level down to handsome as Ashe, and he's a bunch of CS down as well, or 33.
I mean, that Jayce pick, you really wanted in the last round. We talked
did.
about it.
Yeah.
And you see the influence.
And here it is like an exceptional Jayce as well. And he's absolutely showcasing it here. He gets ganked. He takes one with him. It's one of the champions that I think he has found a lot of success with.
Yes.
And here you can see why.
I mean, he's already picked up that Eclipse. When I take a look back, career-wise, Jayce is the 2nd most played champion for HiRit. While he only has a 55% win ratio, the 3 times he's played it this summer, he won 2 of those games. He's got a very early mythic, thanks in huge part to the tower, the minions, the 3 kills. Like, please don't get me wrong. And now we get to continue watching this
And look what they're doing.
skirmish city style for Misfits, but it can be punished if they go to the wrong district.
I mean, they do have vision, but also you need to make sure that you have teleports to back this up with, and Vetheo does have teleports. Technically, what they want to do right now is take this whole situation that is on HiRit, the Eclipse, the completed item, and use it to their advantage. They're taking him around the map, and they're using him as their big gun, their big tool. Because as you can see, Odoamne is not necessarily hard shoving his lane, so HiRit is not going to miss anything. And now that his teleport is almost up and available, he'll go back top lane and be called whenever he needs to.
It's just that pressure, right? The fact that Misfits stepped forward, it allowed a couple of plates to be picked up, some CS to be farmed. Kobbe is still very far behind. If I can ask the observers to toggle to gold when you get a second, down 1,100 already when you consider Misfits is up. But look at the top lane difference, 2,000
1,000 mid as well.
Yes, it's gigantic. So exactly as the draft predicted is how the teams have played it out. And now it comes down to execution of using the advantage to, you know, gain control of the game.
But that's the key with Misfits every single time.
Yeah.
When they have first picked the top side of the map, and these 3 champions are heavy skirmishers that want to win the early, this is where Misfits actually shine. Lulu.
And the wild growth will buy some time. That was the engage coming up, but that's just full rotation. Traded for full rotation. Razork not there early enough to help pick up the kill.
But now you take Lulu out of the picture, you can make sure to push your lane and start bleeding the pressure of the LeBlanc into the rest of the map. Inspired, really dead set playing towards that bot lane of the map. You see, of course, Camille, no tower, you can't necessarily play through there. HiRit has been playing very, very carefully this side lane so far. He has a massive shutdown as well. You don't want to give that away. And Razork knows that Inspired is just dead set on playing bot side, so he steals all of his camps.
Well played by Misfits to maintain the lead. Now, for everybody watching at home, ladies and gentlemen, everybody else, I'm going to ask you one question and one question only. Will we go to Game 5? Open up your chat and spam now. Yes or no? Will we go to Game 5? It's meant to be yes or no at the bottom. We will get that fixed for you in just a moment.
That's say EU and A.
It did indeed. Yeah, that's just a little bit of a leftover. I'm sure it's part of a template. And Misfits, for the time being, they do have an advantage. Solar Flare comes out, insta-cleanse.
That was solo. That was Trymbi solo right there. But if he didn't cleanse that, the Ashe arrow would follow through, and you also don't have vision on where Inspired is. He could be right behind them. So you need to be extra cautious. Now, that means that Kobbe cannot walk too far for the next objective, which in 45 seconds is that dragon. So luckily for him, he does have the Gale Force to get away from anything that's thrown his way. But again, you see how, I would say, unimpactful the top side of the map is for Rogue. You have Larssen on Lulu. He's chilling on a supportive mate. You have Odoamne. He's been pushed back. He lost his tower so early into the game. He has been put behind. And Inspired cannot do much on the top side of the map, yet Misfits are playing so respectful on the bot side that he can't find an opening there either.
The question is there enough of an advantage for Hunt Summer to be impactful? We've got the naughty number on your screen saying, yes, we're going to Game 5. And that means Misfits have to close this out. They need to maintain this lead. Vander gets caught by the enchanted crystal arrow. Not the target Rogue we're looking for.
Trymbi doesn't
Not
have ult.
the
Hunt
pick.
Summer doesn't have ult.
Vetheo's jumping onto Larssen. Needs to go back to the distortion. Inspired. Not going to be able to do enough. Vetheo's flashed away from that Zenith Blade. Wild Growth has already been used. Kobbe can call the curtains back. He's holding on to the trigger. The first kill goes the way of Razork, and the teleport comes in from Odo. Now Misfits with a kill advantage and control. They set their sights on the dragon.
That is so important because Curtical is still up and available for Kobbe if he wants to zone them out with the ultimate. And on the side of Rogue, the only one with ultimate available is now Trymbi because it just came up. I think that was extremely optimistic for Rogue trying to go in for that play right there. Solar Flare was not up for Trymbi yet, so they couldn't lock down a person.
And if you've watched this whole series, when ultimates or abilities are not available for Rogue, Misfits' skirmish-heavy style has allowed them to get bigger advantages.
Oh, they're on to HiRit right now,
HiRit
but I think he's out.
Yep, use that hammer form. Remember, Trymbi tried to engage in Kobbe in the bottom lane. Solar Flare was on cooldown. The crystal arrow from Hunt's caught out Trundle. It did not matter, and that will allow Misfits to pick up that bottom tower. It looks like they are still maintaining the 2,000 gold lead, and they do need to defend this top tower from at least 3 members for now.
Very clever. They had seen that Vetheo is pushing towards the bot side. They knew, I think they've seen Razork through a pink ward pushing towards top side. So Misfits are playing very cautious on the top side of the map. They're making sure that they're roaming the support towards the top side of the map. Protect HiRit again. 350 gold shutdown. You do not want to be giving money away to Rogue at this point. It's enough that they find many ways to find their gold back, and it's only a 2,500 gold lead for Misfits. We have seen Rogue close bigger deficits from that one. So far, we talked about the restraint a lot of times that Misfits need to show, and so far in this game, they haven't overextended. They've taken the fights they need to. You're pointing me at the Trinity Force, and I'm like, I see it, but I don't.
Yeah, just taking a look at now what Misfits are doing as they get caught in the middle lane. All 4 mythics picked up from the top down to the bot laners as Vander uses the Subjugate to stay alive. Now, Curtain Call plus Shock Blasts could allow a counterplay. And of course, for Misfits, they are now in control. They are the ones that are making Rogue respond to them. The Rift Herald is still open and available here for Razork. And more importantly for Odoamne, and the point I was trying to look at a little bit is, his Camille this time round doesn't have that same advantage, doesn't have that same ability to impact the game as he did previously.
It was instantly shut down from Razork, Vetheo, and of course HiRit picking the Jayce, and the Jayce is going to be, I think, so influential in the fights to come. One Shock Blast lands, that is the go button for Vetheo to go and finish whoever is left with really low HP. So I feel like the execution is much easier here. Yes, it lands on the same page where it's like you have to land the skill shot, but it's much easier than just relying on that to play a fight.
And very, very important here for Misfits. The only game that they have won, the only game they've looked, let's say, competitive, was when they did have this brawl-heavy composition, the Skirmish City style, right? And that's what you've got again with the Jayce, the Sin, the LeBlanc. They want to get in the face. I think Vetheo, very polarizing performances. And I think then if they're able to press that lead, let's keep our eyes on Larssen and Trymbi. If some
Here he
CC
goes
can come
again.
down, if the wild growth can have an impact, those are going to be tools that Rogue need to have flawless in order to draw fights out.
You see that if you look at Rogue's vision, if we can toggle Rogue vision right now, it's all towards the bot side of the map. Protect Odoamne. Odoamne needs to get back into the game. We're going to sacrifice top of the map where Lulu is to go for the bot side and protect Odoamne. But there are predators on the top side of the map. Razork is there, Vetheo is there. And if you look at the waves, Misfits are surprisingly playing the waves so well. They're shoving in their mid, they're making sure to push their top. HiRit is there when the wave crashes bot. So they're using their pressure without necessarily overextending. As you can see, the goal goes higher and higher and higher. Misfits are playing sort of how we expect Rogue to play.
Yeah, that level of control and pressing their advantage. I mean, when you highlighted the vision difference, Rogue did not see shit. This time round, the engage comes into Razork, solar flare comes out, the wild growth still available for Larssen in the ensuing fight. There's no HiRit here, there's no shot loss. Inspired, can he break the hearts of the bunnies? Flash forward, defensive flash from Razork. He's escaped for now. Vander's trying to buy some additional time. The heal comes out, Razork still stays alive. Now all of a sudden, Vetheo re-engage from HiRit. Inspired's gonna avoid the chains, but he cannot avoid the flourish. Kobbe's called back the curtain, lands the shots onto Trymbi. Now he's the next target here as Misfits continue the chase. Wild growth finally used, rooted in place as a deadly flourish sends Trymbi to the fountain. Misfits find themselves 2 kills and 20 seconds to Dragon.
Odoamne did not have the tools to enter the fight. His teleport literally just became available after almost of his teammates died. Misfits pull the trigger again. So much constraint to them. They knew that the Camille could not follow. They TP HiRit in. Yes, you lose some CS down, but you don't care because you earn kills and you're still ahead. This Jayce is just working for Misfits. And again, Vetheo is trying to pull the trigger right there together with Razork. And Razork will take most of damage that Rogue have to pull onto him. Handsama was not there. And then Inspired goes on a journey. All on his lonesome. He's trying to get Razork. He will blow his flash, Razork will blow his, and the second he will get onto the Zhao. Zhao still has his ultimate up and available. Heals right there, I think, from the Gold Drinker as well. And then the entirety of Misfits is there to back them up. Here it pulls TP. Again, if you look at your screens, Odoamne does not have his TP available. He cannot assist his team, which ends up to Rogue being run down by Misfits.
So they extend the gold lead. They get themselves a Dragon. 21 minutes in, 4,500 is the lead. And Misfits with 2 Dragons to 1. They have all the tools they need to close the game out, and they've shown they can do it this series. They've shown they can do it this summer. And I think for Misfits, this is already a little bit of a surprise to many. I think the expectations and when you look on paper and how these two teams play, these things shouldn't be able to happen. Rogue's consistency and strength in the early game, it has been challenged. It has been interesting how that's happened, but it's been Misfits' individual skirmishes and individuals.
They're pulling TPs on him.
Up. Here it's going to be the target. 600 gold is the bounty. He gets turned into a little munchkin, and it is Inspired that picks up the kill. That's big.
What's on the map right now? Nothing's on the map for the taking except the Baron, and Rogue cannot go for Baron because their lanes are pushed top and they're pushed mid. What do they expend for it? A teleport for Odoamne. HiRit on a side lane beats Odoamne, so someone else is going to have to go and reply to HiRit in the side lane later on, and when HiRit's TP comes up, Odoamne is not, but Vetheo would end up using his life here.
Well, doing a distort over the wall with that Mimic. Vetheo in trouble. HiRit was caught out from the teleport, from the Ashe Arrow. And Misfits, a few small mistakes give a glimmer of hope to Rogue, but it is still a significant advantage to claw back from.
So what we were talking about before that whole skirmish happened is how does Rogue not control the early game, right? And we said that 2 ways that Misfits can win this game one would be to play aggressive and force Rogue to play Skirmish City. And that's exactly what they have forced their hand on. Rogue tried to reply, but due to the champion difference right here, LeBlanc will trade better. LeBlanc Zhao into Inspired's Viego together with the Lulu, at least earlier on. And right now, because HiRit is so far ahead, he's already got his Serpent's Fang as well. Lulu's shields are going to be destroyed. And as much as we say that Ashe is very safe from the LeBlanc due to Wit's End, due to the shield bow,
locked inside the baby cage. Vetheo's going to go down once again. The thing is, that's another shutdown. The thing is, Trouble, Misfits cannot afford to lose focus, cannot afford to lose members, cannot afford to lose more. The solo
they
plays
cannot afford to lose the game.
But look at that shock blast. You're right. Lose this game and you're done. Misfits will drop down to low bracket and face either Fnatic or Vitality next Friday. But win this game, you go to game 5, you have a shot at going to Worlds with one more win.
Again, so good at pushing small advantages. HiRit keeps pushing bot lane, shoving wave after wave after wave. He's like 50-something CS above Odoamne right now. And he's earning this advantage on his own on the bot side. You see mid, they're pushing because they know Ashe doesn't have ult, Inspired on the Viego doesn't have ult, Camille doesn't have ult, so they cannot be locked down. So even though, yes, Rogue does find the pick, they do lose Vetheo, they manage to push down mid lane tower and bot lane tower. What will this unlock? The whole bot quadrant of Inspired's jungle. The vision will just bleed in from Misfits, and our objectives right now is the Dragon and the Baron.
I'm so glad you brought attention to that, because I definitely hyped up the picks, and I definitely went a little bit too dramatic on Misfits can't afford it. But as you rightly called out, despite losing that member, Misfits are still 6 towers to 1, 5 dragons up. They've got a couple of control wards in that bottom quadrant of the jungle, and with 45 seconds till the next dragon, that will put them on soul points.
And that is another respectful item coming out from Inspired. He gets the Wit's End. Sure, Larssen can target the Lulu. Larssen can target the Camille. Larssen can even target the Leona at this point. Yes, he has a Solari, but if you chuck down the front line, then Trymbi cannot step too far forward, right? And one shock blast, you're dead.
Yeah, and we saw that as well, that previous fight. Here it was able to chunk Larssen for probably like 30-40% of his hit points. Well, potential engage here. If Kobbe uses the curtain call, that will be the go signal.
Oh, he's gone!
Flourish, all of a sudden Vetheo's dead. He's blown up from all the CC. Misfits cannot afford for that to go wrong, but here it's got so much damage. Trymbi's already down. They traded 1 for 1. Dragon is now available, and Misfits are retreating through the jungle. HiRit's Shock Blast is what can dissuade Rogue from pushing into the dark.
Crucial ultimates though are up. Odoamne's ultimate, Inspired's ultimate, Larsen's ultimate are up. The only thing they're missing is the arrow, so they don't necessarily have to fight. All they have to do is pull the trigger for the Baron, force Misfits to fight into them. Again, if the poke doesn't land from HiRit, Rogue doesn't have to necessarily be scared, but I think it's more about laying down the vision here.
Yes.
Because Vetheo has his TP available, 5 seconds, he'll TP back in and destroy you.
Trouble, have you ever gone to those fairs or those carnivals where they have that game, the Whack-A-Mole game?
Yes.
All those things? If Rogue go into the Baron pit, HiRit will just play Whack-A-Mole and just be knocking down each of the Rogue members so that the risk...
We're talking about real bonk.
Yes, significantly outweighing the potential return. But Misfits now 1 dragon away from securing their
Jayce.
Ocean Soul. The BF sword plus the stopwatch
is disgustingly strong right now, but again, Vetheo gets caught. You can't distort straight into a Leona. He gets instantly stuck onto the same place. Rogue pile every CC they have onto this LeBlanc to make sure he is dead, but Rogue overextends a little bit. Trymbi tries to go forward, and even though the redemption lands, once the subjugate goes onto him, he just melts to that Jayce.
I think it is crucial that you address the CC, because Whimsy, Ashe Arrow, Leona's entire kit, to a lesser degree Viego and Camille, there are a lot of tools to stop a single target, right?
Not when you're playing from so much distance that Misfits are playing from, though.
Yeah, that was the big thing, is that as long as HiRit and Kobbe
they're doing Baron right now.
That is what will allow Misfits to pull the advantage. Baron is going down low, Ashe Arrow not going to find a target. 3,000 hit points. Inspired can make it inside the pit. Heartbreak has already been used, but So has the ultimate from Razork. The engage comes out. Vetheo jumps forward. Inspired manages to use the stopwatch to go golden. Curtain Call comes back from Kobbe. He's firing out shots. First of all is Inspired. That means there's no smite. Baron's 2,500, but he's down as well. That's a gigantic turnaround. Baron's below 1,100, 1,200. Who's going to focus it down? Kobbe's on a killing spree. That's the kill onto Razork. Now all of a sudden inside the pit, Misfits managed to pick up Baron, but that was very, very close.
I was holding my breath right there because Handsama was putting auto attack after auto attack after auto attack, unbothered. No one could reach him. He had a Lulu behind him, and I legitimately thought that he could ace the entire Misfits roster. But yes, Rogue managed to hit HiRit and get him down. Vetheo stays alive. The Jhin from long distance stays alive, and they end up destroying Rogue into the pit. So you see that Misfits, hands up. The second Inspire gets into the pit, hands up off of the Baron, and they catch HiRit. They get him straight into his Guardian Angel. Vetheo's pushed back, but no one is paying any attention to the Jhin on the side lane. And all hands on Handsama right now, because he's putting auto after auto after auto, but
not going to find the kill just yet. That was a teleport coming out from Vetheo as we jump straight back into the action, but I think you highlighted it perfectly.
Look at that damage!
Not enough threat for the rest of Misfits, and despite what Handsama did, the rest of the team too far behind, too out of position, not in the right place to allow Handsama to close out. And Misfits now 7,000 gold up, 2 minutes until Ocean Soul can be secured, and they got Baron buff as well.
Misfits just have so many threats in their teams, in their team. You eliminate Vetheo, you have Razork, you have HiRit, you have Kobbe. You eliminate any of the others, you have others left. At that point, Kobbe was the main threat right there. He kept hitting, no one paid attention to that Jhin, and he ended up being the difference factor right there. Now with what they have, Misfits again can push out their waves much easier. That will definitely come in handy for HiRit as well, but you can see how Razork is shadowing HiRit, keeping that Jayce alive, and due to lack of teleports, again, they need to play in the quadrant where they have the vision, so they make sure they're in between the waves.
And of course, with a minute to Dragon, this quadrant allows them to peel back for Soul.
Absolutely.
As soon as it comes up. That's Trymbi. He's going to hop over the wall, engages with the Zenith Blade. Kobbe's the target, forced to flash away. Kobbe goes along.
Dead.
Finally taken out as Inspired gets the kill. The Crescent Guard knocks members of Rogue backwards, but Razork is untouched. Next one to fall will be HiRit. Vetheo needs to do something, but he's running away. This is a 2-for-1. Now Vetheo looking for the re-engage. Manages to pop Odo. This is a 2-for-2. All of a sudden, Rogue cannot continue the chase. Now Misfits are still in control, and I'm getting very excited at these team fights and skirmishes because we are looking on the horizon of a Game 5. This is something that nobody was expecting, nobody was anticipating. Misfits will surprise everyone if they go to Game 5, but also Misfits have been able to punish and unseed Rogue's early game multiple times.
We said that Kobbe and HiRit play long range so no one can reach them, but Kobbe is literally playing... He's the furthest one ahead of his team, so he gets instantly stunned by Trymbi, chased down by Odoamne and Inspired. And we mentioned how easy it is for the Camille and the Viego to find that route in the backline, especially with all the CC that followed up from Trymbi at the start. And Vetheo just arrives way too late to the party. He takes down Odoamne, but at the end of the day, Misfits don't get anything tower-wise from that Baron, but what that will allow them is getting an Ocean Soul, and that's so important for the trading patterns.
Gigantic, absolutely gigantic for the rest of this game. Now, Misfits have lost games when they tried to close out, specifically against, Astralis. And you recall the Magifelix backdoor as Misfits overextended. Now, I do not feel that that will happen this time around. Famous last words of a shoutcaster.
If it ends up in the base race, I don't know what to say.
And the reason that I want to mention that is now you have to look towards a potential Game 5. You have to look towards a situation where Rogue, were on match point, as they were on match point in the finals of spring and were unable to close that out. They will have side selection, assuming Rogue lose this game. Do you change sides for the first time? Do you stick on blue? There are so many additional thoughts that you need to figure out the answer on, but Misfits need to get this Nexus down before we can answer them. The Ashe Arrow goes wide, Solar Flare doesn't find a target. This time round, Kobbe and HiRit are on the back line. Vetheo gets jumped on by Odoamne. That's immediately deletion. Curtain Call to close out the game, to shut down Rogue in Game 4. That is what Kobbe's looking for. That's a double kill for HiRit, another for Razork.
They have the wave, they can end right now and push this into game number 5. Misfits are breaking the curse of losing to Rogue all year long.
Misfits will be knocking down the Nexus, forcing Game 5, and be one Nexus away from the World Championship. This series, the games that we have seen today, were not supposed to go this way.
They had the exact same push where they got punished. The difference maker in that last push is that the Trundle and the Zhao were in the front line, not the Jayce and the Jhin. But oh boy, again in Misfits fashion, the top side of the map, absolutely instrumental. HiRit, he redeemed himself for that game 1 over and over again.
The thing is now, what do you do? Those questions we were posing, right? Rogue will have side selection for our 5th and final game. Obviously, the loser of this will go on to face, but depends on the next matchup, so I won't get into that in a moment. But for Misfits, this is a big surprise for Rogue. The pressure's on them. Okay, after years...
No, I can tell you what we can do. DJ, cue Silver Scrapes.
I think it might be too early. After years of Hearthbreak, that should be Heartbreak, scriptwriter. Misfits are back at the top of the LEC and now just one win away from returning to the finals weekend. All they need is a win in Game 5. It should be easy, right? Don't go anywhere.
Game 5, baby.
Yes!
The planet and us are connected. We share its veins. We can continue to clog them, or do something about it. By using millions of recycled plastic bottles in our new generation of durable washer and washer-dryer tubs, we reduce plastic waste from leaking into nature's veins. Discover Beko Eco Tub washers and washer-dryers for healthy living on a healthy planet.
Welcome back, everyone, to the LEC Summer Playoffs. Our opening series has delivered above expectations. Misfits bounced back once again to take us to Game 5. Now, for the Rabbits, a win here would be a shocking upset and a possible return to glory. To the glory, rather, of 2017, which is how we set this entire day up, Dracos. For the Misfits, it's been so great. 2017, almost beating SKT. Where can this roster go? Into perpetual disappointment. And now, one game away from Worlds.
I mean, one game away, and it's incredible because at the start of this playoffs, there were articles coming out about who is going to miss Worlds. We have 4 great teams. We have Fnatic. We have Rogue, we have G2, we have Misfits wasn't on that list, and yet Misfits is poised to take one of those spots, meaning 2 of those teams are going to miss Worlds, all because Misfits showed up big today in the games when it matters. HiRit has been incredible today, and what a massive, massive turn for this team as a whole, who, yes, they had an excellent first half, a shaky second half, but securing top 4,
would be crazy.
Insane.
Zanza, how do you think, or how was it that Misfits was able to come back in this series and now push Rogue to a match point, or against match point, rather?
Yeah, I kind of didn't expect it, but looks like HiRit is just stronger than the Handsam and Trymbi together. I think top lane difference is just insane this series, and whoever gets lead, just lead the team to the win. So I think right now it's actually important for both teams to just get comfortable enough on top lane, and then
Exactly.
let's see, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it can still happen for Rogue as much as it can for Misfits, but I can't help but to think about Rogue and what happened versus Mad Lions in that final in that Game 5 where it wasn't enough. And as a Misfits, you know that you're an underdog coming into this day, right? But then you do this, you know, as a HiRit, you lose lane against a Tahm Kench. It's the most tilting thing on the planet. You know, you lose the game as your Fiora that you elected to pick and thought you could style with, but you bounce back and you still go for your Jayce and you still put in such a performance.
I think this is an incredible showing from Misfits as an organization, that they just continue, and as a team, that they continue to invest in HiRit, that they have so much trust in this man. And it absolutely has paid off, because there are so many games where after that Game 1 where he gets counter panic and frankly griefs it, you don't give him another chance to be the center of attention on your team. But Game 2, he gets ganked every game, keep in mind. Game 2, he survives. Game 3, he gets a kill back in a situation he absolutely shouldn't. Game 4, the exact same thing. Inspired is living topside, and HiRit has come out 1 for 1 so many times when he absolutely should not have.
Yeah, it's kind of impressive actually. HiRit just able to like get 1v1 and 1v2 scenario, but it's actually like mostly on Rock because they just failed the execution of this ganks, and it's happened over and over again. I think you cannot make this kind of mistakes if you want to go to Worlds.
Yeah, do you think that it is that exactly? Rogue getting a bit too antsy and thinking, okay, this is the plan that's worked for us all these games, that keep pushing those gank threats and they're not executing correctly?
I feel like they're just like rushing things mostly. Like they already have a good lead on bot lane, just play towards it, just let your bot lane carry the game, but you're trying forcing things on top lane what you're not 100% sure, and then you fail, and then Misfits get a lead on top lane, and then it's equal game again. So it's really strange to see it from teams like Rogue, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. Rogue is a team that we always heralded as a team that would make the correct decision, usually, in these standard situations, but that hasn't been the case in that last game.
Well, and I think the big thing is just, again, when we look at those top lane 2v1 exchanges, if you look back at them closely, I wonder if we're going to look back and say, hey, they shouldn't have gone for this gank at all, or if it's a single member misplaying, maybe Inspired isn't coming in soon enough, maybe Odo is going in too early, but those kind of execution errors in the early game are completely uncharacteristic of the Rogue that we saw in regular season.
Absolutely, and this is where, again, that mental game comes into play. Well, we call it a game, but it's really very serious. You have to adapt to everything that's thrown at you at its best of 5. 5s and in the picks and bans. Now, I know we like to talk about the top lane in isolation a little bit because it's been so interesting, but we also got to talk about, okay, what tools do you have to roam? And here, Vetheo on the LeBlanc Zanza was just beautiful to see.
Yeah, LeBlanc keeps getting away with it, just like roaming every time, getting kills. Yeah, he has some questionable moments in the mid-game, I would say, but still his impact on the game overall and Snowball, it was insane. So I think Rogue have to do something with LeBlanc. Overall, Larssen LeBlanc was pretty good too. So
exactly. I want to bring us into a bit of a conversation about the key picks so far this series to maybe predict what could happen in Game 5. We're going to get them on a screen in a second. LeBlanc's part of them. Is she the most high-value pick that you can get or that you need to ban right now?
I think so, yes. I think short of a massive jungle shakeup, LeBlanc is absolutely the pick you need to look at because right now they're handshaking on Jhin, Zhao, and Viego every single game. And at that point, LeBlanc is just winning your... And we saw Lulu was an attempt to break that, but it just did not work. LeBlanc is winning the jungle mid matchup for these teams every single time. And that is massive. If Inspired goes top lane and doesn't have a successful gank, LeBlanc is instantly pretty much chilling because Zin's already on bottom side, ready to back her up if anything goes down.
It isn't the easiest matchup if she's up versus a Camille, nonetheless, but still they went for it, right? And I think that's what's called grinta in sports. The fact that Misfits have trust in their own setup, have trust in their own game plan and their picks and bans, that they're willing to push through on things that might not exactly be favorable.
I think it's an excellent call out. Camille has a lot of favorable interactions into LeBlanc, most notably the ultimate. You cannot get away. But the thing is, if Misfits get ahead anyway, Camille is stuck on a side lane catching a wave. LeBlanc is free to do literally anything she wants. Now, if they get ahead, LeBlanc is completely useless. But if you fall behind, Camille no longer gets to be that kind of really proactive counter pick. You did see it in 1 or 2 exchanges, but for the most part, Vetheo just waited in Fog of War, knowing that Odoamne had to engage on his team if he wanted to win the game. The second he went in, he got to dive the backline, kill 1 or 2 people, just like you see here, and there's really no counterplay for the team.
And now we're going into a Game 5, and you know what we usually say, which is the truth, is that, well, hey, both teams have won 2 games and lost 2 games logically, so it's everyone's game. I do think you have to factor in the fact that the Misfits, from an underdog position, push Rogue, and Rogue is starting to make these mistakes. Or am I reading too much into it, Zanza?
Maybe, but I think it's mostly Rogue is actually not that confident anymore in their like 3-0. I think they had like mindset, they're a clear favorite and they can win, but we saw Misfits actually like in their wins, they were able to match Rogue aggression and just kind of close out the game without any problems. So I think right now it's important for Rogue to just think about what is going on and just respect Misfits more and just do plays what they're like pretty sure what they're gonna work.
Respect them. Let's maybe verbalize this in the win conditions for each team. I'm going to start with that. Who wants to defend Rogue winning the Game 5 and who wants to take Misfits?
I guess I'll take Rogue because I think it's still a pretty simple answer. I think you need the stronger mid jungle in whatever form. If that's taking away the LeBlanc so you can set up something more comfortable overall, they're clearly willing to ban your Lucian. I think you have to be willing to ban LeBlanc. And if that means letting something else through, so be it. Mid jungle has been massive this series. I think taking it down a notch on top side, if you go for the same level 4, level 5 gank again, I know it worked twice, kind of failed twice, but you got to mix it up. You're doing it every single game, and if you're in a situation where HiRit 1-for-1s again, you've just thrown a series, and that's not the position you want to be in. So for me, get the stronger mid jungle, keep it simple, and I think overall that's really the big catalyst.
Yeah, you kept saying Rogue is better players pound for pound. Do you still believe it?
You know, it's hard. It's hard after this one. I think that right today, Misfits are playing better. I think the Misfits top side is playing better today, and that's what matters.
Oof, Zanza?
Yeah, I think from Misfits side, it's important. I mean, LeBlanc gonna be out. I'm pretty sure about that, but I think it's still, you need better mid-jungle and comfortable pick for top. Because we saw HiRit on Camille, HiRit on Jayce can do a lot, but Gnar Fiora was questionable. So maybe if this champions is open, you have to take them in first 3. And then if you get better mid-jungle, you should pick like top side in first 3. Then you have a good chances to win. But otherwise, if Rogue gonna target that, it's gonna be meh.
Oh, storylines. Maybe Hansama just locks in Draven, and that's that. We'll see. Maybe there's a switch up. Also, Vander versus his ex-team who can knock them out of Worlds contention for now. It's crazy, and this is exactly what happens in playoffs. A top 3 spot in the LEC Summer and a ticket to Worlds is on the line in Game 5, so be sure to join us after the break.